What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Control the Narrative. This is episode 44. After over a 2-month break, we are back every week here on YouTube because there just wasn't going on much. There wasn't much going on. I still got to get back into the flow of things, as you can see. There wasn't much going on in the last 2 months relating to Carmelo Anthony and the Portland Trail Blazers. Free agency starts Friday, and we're just going to go and talk about it and preview the top destinations for Carmelo Anthony entering free agency when, as Melo fans, it's been, kind of a scary thing over the last few years, free agency, with just so much confusion and uncertainty around Melo. So to do so, I'm going to bring on my guy, The Real Prophet. The Real Prophet, what's going on, bro?
What's good, bro? What's good? How's it going, bro?
Good, yo. So I'm just going to put this out there now. We recorded an entire fucking podcast last night, and shit was laggy, and I tried editing it. So this is our second go around. So appreciate you sticking with it and coming back a second night.
I got you, man.
Word, man. So we're gonna talk a lot about Melo's free agent, the list that we kind of have for him. But first, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about where you're from, how you grew up liking basketball, how you became a Melo fan, and just all that shit.
I'm from New York. I started watching basketball at the age of 10. And that was around 10 or 11. That was around the time that Carmelo Anthony got traded. I remember like little bits, like I remember watching the 09 finals with the Lakers, but I didn't care because I wasn't a fan. But right after Carmelo Anthony got traded to the Knicks, I'm like, hey, he's from New York too. Why not be a fan of New York? And be a fan of him, and then
Right.
from there on, and how it is now.
So that was like that was like the perfect timing, right? You were just getting into basketball, and then that trade happened, and then it was just like fucking the city was wild when all that shit happened.
OD wild. Like it was just insane. Like I remember everybody was like, "Oh, we finally winning the championship." I'm like, "When's the last time y'all won a championship for y'all to be like fucking crying and talking all crazy?" And then I looked it up. It says 73. I'm like, Jesus, like that's tough.
It was a minute. I remember. I think I may have said this story on one of the podcasts before, but I didn't go to Melo's first game on the Knicks. I really regret not going. I watched that video probably twice a week. But I went to a game like a week after he got traded, and I went with my dad. My dad took me to the game, and I remember I went to the game thinking, all right, I want a blue Melo jersey. That was when they had the black stripes on the side. They need to bring that shit back. But I remember I wanted a blue jersey in a size medium, and I left the Garden with a white jersey in a size large because fucking everything was sold out. Like you couldn't get a Melo jersey anywhere in New York City, even like at MSG, which was crazy. So yeah, man, that must have been some time to kind of get into everything. But all right, cool. So I guess the other question I have for you is, were you following Melo like all throughout after he left the Knicks? Like, were you a Thunder fan, Rockets fan, Blazers fan, or you just like a Knicks fan and you kind of like Melo?
Oh no, I was a Thunder fan, Blazers fan, Rockets fan. Man, listen, I'm a huge Knicks fan, like diehard Knicks fan. But I'm a more Melo fan than a Knicks fan.
Respect.
So just when I heard OK3, I'm like, listen, y'all have a diehard fan with y'all. When it was Houston, same shit. And Portland being my second favorite team even before Melo got there, it made everything so much better.
Respect. All right. Let's get into it. Free agency. It's now 3 days away. It's Tuesday right now. We're recording this, and free agency starts on Friday. We're gonna put this out tomorrow, Wednesday, so it'll be two days away. But let's go with the defending champions, and we're gonna talk about how you think Melo fits on the team. Do you think they have a chance to win? If like you as a fan want to see him there, kind of just like look at it from all different angles. So, defending champion Los Angeles Lakers. What do you think about Melo's fit there? Do you want him to go there? Do you think they have? Obviously, they just won the championship, so they have a really good chance to win again. But what do you think of Melo with the Lakers?
It's not a good fit for the simple fact that they already won a championship. If they don't win a championship this year or the year that's coming up, they're just gonna blame Carmelo Anthony anyway. And if they do win the championship, everybody's just gonna say, "Hey, Melo just got a free ring. He don't deserve it." So I'm not. I feel like it's a horrible fit. Yeah, he's playing with LeBron, which is one of his friends and all of that. But we all know if LeBron really wanted Melo, he would have had him last year. So, I love Anthony Davis's game, but I don't see it being a good fit for the simple fact that I feel like they're not gonna know how to utilize him. And since they have LeBron and they just got Schroeder and everything like that, I don't see how Carmelo Anthony fits there, offensively wise.
I was gonna say, do you think like on the court, like a lot of that makes sense what you just said, like there is no upside. We talked about it last night, but we're pretending like we're talking about it for the first time. But there's no upside with him going to the Lakers. If they win again, it's like cool, they just won last year. If they lose, it's like, oh fuck yeah, see, as soon as Melo comes, like he's a loser and like all that shit is gonna start. So on the court, like, do you think he fits with LeBron? Because this is something that I've argued about with people for a long time. Do you think he fits with LeBron on the court?
I think he does.
Okay.
I honestly think he does, for the simple fact that LeBron is not a scorer. He can score the ball, but he's not a scorer. LeBron is like a playmaker that seems to take over when he has to take over, which is what a leader does. And just having Carmelo Anthony as his Robin, it's perfect basketball because Carmelo Anthony is the scorer. And let's say when Carmelo Anthony gets hot, which we all have seen so many times, they're gonna double team him, triple team him. They even did that this year. Come on, year 17. He's supposed to be in the big three. They said. So if he's being triple teamed in the NBA, double teamed in the NBA.
Yep.
That's when LeBron can take over and do what he got to do. So I feel like it would have worked.
Fair. I don't think so. I always say like, you know, can you fit with LeBron? Like, does this player fit with LeBron? Well, is he a spot up shooter? Because that's what I feel LeBron turns everybody into. Not named Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, I guess, but Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving, and Anthony Davis. Like he lets them get his touches. I don't know how much Melo would get his isolation touches that he got in Portland this year with the Lakers because, you know, LeBron's a playmaker. So you're going to get the shots that LeBron creates for you, whether they're good or bad. Like for a spot up shooter, that's great. You just sit in the corner and you wait for the ball to get to you. But I don't think Melo's that. Melo's a scorer first, then a shooter. He's a scorer who can shoot. So I just feel like it's a bad fit all around, and that's my thoughts on the Lakers. So let's go to the team that you got something else to add?
No, I said I agree. When I think of Melo and Braun working together, I would look at, you know, when LeBron was in the Cavs, even with Kyrie and LeBron, Melo, his touches would have been crazy diminished. But I feel like there would have worked, and even in Miami, it should have been Wade, Melo, and Braun. But now, like, I don't see it because Anthony Davis is a dog. Anthony Davis is gonna get his touches. Schroeder, Braun. I don't see Melo working there. Melo's gonna be like Kuzma, way better than Kuzma.
Exactly. He would like essentially take his role. So yeah, right. I'm not fucking with that either. So let's go to the team that the Lakers played in the finals, the Miami Heat. I think this is a really intriguing one. You know, you just said Melo was supposed to be on that Heat team. He was supposed to be the third member of the Big Three. Back in the day, obviously that never happened. So what do you think about Melo's fit with the current Heat, chances to win, all that shit?
Eric Spoelstra is an OG coach. Mid-range is not dead to him. Bam play the five. Jimmy can do what he got to do. Revolved around shooters. It's a great fit. I said this last night. They still need a point guard. They need a Schroeder or a Chris Paul. I mean, they're both unavailable. But somebody like Jeff Teague, or even a George Hill. George Hill looks like he's being shopped. Somebody that is a playmaker that can create his own shot, good in the pick and roll. With Melo, it would be insane. So I feel like they one or two pieces away, but Miami's a great look at it.
Yep. This is like, I think, the second time you mentioned Jeff Teague. Are you a Jeff Teague fan?
Nah, I'm not a Jeff Teague fan. I like his game. I've been watching him since Atlanta. I like his game. He played horribly in Minnesota. But I'm not a Jeff Teague fan. I just know basketball and know Jeff Teague could bring something to Miami.
I love Jeff Teague. Like, I think he's one of the best in the league at, like, it's such a not a stupid thing, but it's such a little thing, but like utilizing screens, that dude is like a fucking wizard. He knows exactly where the defender is, and I know I'm going off topic, but I fucking love Jeff Teague. I've wanted him on the Knicks for so long now. I would have killed for. He was an all-star with the Hawks. Like, he's a starting point guard who can be the starting point guard on a championship team. Anyway, but yeah, Miami, I think it's a great fit. Like you said, Spoelstra, the mid-range, it makes so much sense. I posted a video on Control recently of Spoelstra just like going through some drills or some shit, and he was talking to somebody, to like a group of people, and he was talking about how all these teams now, they're going for threes, layups, and free throws, and he's like, so what does that leave open? The mid-range. So if you can find someone that utilizes that mid-range and is efficient with it, like, that's like an untapped place to score at this point in the NBA, because as we know, like, everyone is valuing the threes because analytics nerds are saying all that shit, layups and free throws and all that. But I love the style of play. I think he makes a lot of sense. Like you mentioned, giving Jimmy Butler a little bit of a rest, and they have Hero who can score. Obviously, he's a rookie, so we need to see if he keeps that up. Dragic is nice, so he's a good point guard. Who knows if he could stay healthy and shit like that. But I think he could be a really good four for that team. Like you said, Bam goes to the 5, Melo stretches the floor. He could get his own shot. He's a decent defender. Like, forget what the fuck anybody tells you. Melo's a decent defender. He's not great. Like, we're not sitting here saying, yo, he's an amazing defender, but he's decent. He doesn't suck on defense. I really like that. In terms of opportunity to win, I just feel like it's so hard, especially now with this Harden news. Of Harden, apparently, he's going to go to Brooklyn. One way or another is what we're hearing right now as of 7/12 on November 17th. But just in the East, it's going to be so tough to get past that Nets team. And I've like talked to people, and we'll talk about the Nets, but I've talked to people like, oh, that team's not going to work. But you have Kyrie, KD, and then you add James Harden. Like, come the fuck on. Like, you need something. You need a real serious team to compete with that, and I don't know if the Heat have that. Yes, they got to the finals, but Tatum has another year under his belt. I think that dude is going to be one of the best players in the NBA very soon. Who else? Like, the Raptors are still going to be there, obviously the Nets and shit. So it's going to be tough for the Heat to get back to the finals, but I definitely fuck with the fit, and like, I wouldn't mind seeing a deep playoff run with Miami if Melo ends up going there.
I agree.
Cool. All right. Well, this was like semi-relevant. This was like semi-relevant when I wrote these notes and like made this list, but not too relevant anymore. The New York Knicks. We know that Chris Paul was just traded to the Phoenix Suns, and like I was holding out a little hope that the Knicks would trade for him and then Melo would sign and like everything would be amazing. That doesn't look like it's going to be the case, but we know about the Knicks' chances of winning, which are, at this point are very slim. But what do you think about Melo going back to the Knicks?
Nah. Nah. Just plain and simple, nah. Because the Knicks, too much drama, too much pain and suffering. I've suffered from New York. I love New York. It's a toxic relationship I have with New York Knicks, but it's I can't. He's 36, 37. We aiming for a championship. And New York is in no position to bring that to us. Yep. So I don't see him going to New York at all.
Fair. Yeah, me neither at this point, no. They have just no chance of winning with this roster that they have. And like I said, I was hoping for them to swing a trade for Chris Paul. You bring Melo there, they're a playoff team. Maybe in another year you make another move, whatever. But that's just not the case. It seems like they want to really prioritize this youth movement and keep that going, which is cool. I don't even know how many touches they would give Melo. They would obviously prioritize RJ's development, Mitch's development, see if Kevin Knox can become an NBA player, Ntilikina, and guys like that. So I don't think Melo would get a ton of touches either. So at this point, I don't think it's a possibility. And like, it hurts me to say that. And like you said, being a Knicks fan has brought you a lot of pain. I always say that, it's like a love-hate relationship. Like, I'm in an abusive relationship with them, and the fact that, when they win, like, yo, shit is amazing. And they keep hurting me, and I keep just running back to them, and there's like nothing I could do because, when you're in love and like when you have passion towards something, like you keep going back no matter how many times it hurts you. So it hurts me to say that I don't think the Knicks are a realistic option for him at this point.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe if these young guys keep balling out, if they start balling out, and then maybe 2 years or some shit, maybe the last year or two of his career, make a playoff run. Imagine like his last year winning a championship with the Knicks and going out on top. That's some shit that I probably dream about that more than he does. But yeah, the Knicks no-go for me too. All right. Here is the really interesting one. We have 3 left. This is number 3. Not in any order, but we're going to go with the Brooklyn Nets. Like I said, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and possibly James Harden. You're clapping your hands, so I'm guessing you're hyped about this one.
You know that one.
As a Knicks fan, you're hyped to see Melo hopefully in a Brooklyn jersey?
As a Knicks fan, I'm hyped to see New York about to win a championship.
All
That's
right.
and it doesn't even have to be New York Knicks. It's their little brother Brooklyn. Carmelo Anthony is from Brooklyn, and it's just he was going to go to Brooklyn had he not gone to New York, and that year he got traded.
Yep.
So just seeing this go full circle, and then him playing with old Team USA teammates, and James Harden as his teammate. Even though it was only 10 games, and they both barely played together because James Harden was hurt. But even still, like it's a great fit, the best fit in my opinion. For the simple fact is in the East, the East is trying to be the new West, but at the same time, like it's still the East. If you have a super team in the East, you're bound to make the finals.
It's a wrap.
So I love the fit. The only thing that worries me is Mike D'Antoni and Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash is kind of it's a weird combination of coaches. And Melo has a relationship with 2 out of the 3 of them. So I don't. That's the only thing that makes me iffy about it. But other than that, it's an amazing fit. I feel like they'll utilize him well with or without James Harden. I feel like they'll utilize him well because Kyrie still uses the mid range. Kevin Durant is one of, if not the best scorer we've ever seen, and he uses his mid range, and James Harden is going to bring back that mid range. I feel it this year. So
James Harden is going to bring. That's a bold prediction.
He is. I'm telling you, he is going. I feel like the only reason why he didn't bring it was because of D'Antoni.
He was peer pressure into doing it.
Yeah, so I feel like he's going to bring it back this year.
All right. 2 questions for you. One, do you think Melo would get enough touches if Harden got traded to the Nets? And then 2, do you think Mike D'Antoni, like just the fact that he's an assistant coach there, would that be enough for Melo not to go there?
I feel like it wouldn't be enough for Melo not to go there. I feel like because they said that they buried the hatchet, and even if they didn't bury the hatchet, Mike D'Antoni's only an assistant coach, so he only has so much power, and he's very close friends with KD and Kyrie, so I feel like that's not enough for Melo to say, nah, I'm not going to Brooklyn. And if let's say James Harden is in Brooklyn with KD and Kyrie, and then Melo comes in, I feel like the only way Melo would get touches is if they put him in the bench. And I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but then again, I do because he just proved he's starter worthy. So I don't see him getting that many touches if Harden goes, as opposed if he stays in a team like Portland or something like that. But it's still something I want to see because he's at the best position to win a championship in New York City.
Absolutely. I said this last night, so nothing we really say now is surprising each other. But like as a Knicks fan, a diehard Knicks fan, like last year when all the shit was happening and Melo wasn't on a team, and I remember they're like, oh shit, he could go to the Nets, and I would have rather that than him retire. But in the back of my mind, I was just like, please, like the Nets were one of the few teams where I was like, just don't go to. I can't root for the Nets. But at this point in my life and at this point in Carmelo Anthony's career, I don't see how even like the most diehard Knicks fan can't root for that. Melo, like the Knicks aren't winning in the next few years unless something fucking crazy happens. So him going there fit wise, If Harden comes, I think it makes it a lot more difficult because, like you said, Melo just proved he's a starter. So if Harden comes, there's no way that all four of those guys get enough shots to go around. Because like Melo still wants his touches too. He wants to compete, but he doesn't want to play, 20 minutes, 25 minutes a night and take 6 shots a game. So he still wants his touches. I think it makes a lot more sense if they do not trade for Harden, because then you have like a lot of supporting guys like Jared Allen, who's a good supporting guy, Spencer Dinwiddie, Karras. You have guys who fit and like quality pieces off the bench in the starting lineup. And if Harden goes, they have fucking no money to spend on anybody. So you're gonna see like remember those Heat teams where like Joel Anthony was the starting center because it didn't matter who the fuck was around LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, but I think it's a much better fit if Harden does not get traded. I think either way, even if Harden does not come, they make the finals. I think they might get like tested by a team or two in the playoffs, but I think at the very least they make the finals because a lot of people forget before KD tore his Achilles, I thought, and a lot of people thought that he was the best player in the world.
Right, I did too.
So, you have him and then Kyrie, who's still Kyrie. He had like kind of a down year last year, even though he scored 54 one game because, he was injured and shit. But those are two of like the top, 15 at the very least players in the league.
Right.
Right. So I think I'm going on the record as saying if Melo does go to Brooklyn, I would have to root for the Nets to win the championship just because Melo, like, I'd have to see in my heart if when it's Knicks Nets who I root for, but I just think it'll be so tough to not root for him. Like you said, in New York City, they're the little brother, but at the end of the day, if Melo wins, and if he's a part of it, if he's like a decently big part, not if he averages 7 points a game, like we need him averaging like at least, what do you say, 14, 15?
13, bro. At least 13.4.
13.4.
Which averaging in Houston. At least that.
All right, fair. 13.4. So that's the Brooklyn situation. The one that I posted about today on Control the Narrative, which honestly got more negative feedback than I thought it was gonna. I thought people were gonna be down with it, is the Los Angeles Clippers. What do you think of that fit, their chance to win, and just all that?
It's a great fit. I feel like the second best fit in the West, for the simple fact that you have Kawhi Leonard, the top 3 player in the league. So well, he blew a 3-1 lead, like whatever. They have Paul George, which I'm a big fan of. That's saying a lot.
Piss off Pete, baby.
He's gonna have a breakout year, bro. You got Montrezl Harrell, which is a great offensive player, and then you just bring in Melo, which just adds more fuel to the fire. In the offensive end, it's just a great. I'm forgetting Lou Will and all of that, but it's just a great combination of offense and skill. And you got a coach like Ty Lue, Sam Cassell, who knows Carmelo Anthony's game. They haven't killed the mid range either. Melo could come in and play the 4 and have Kawhi the 3 and Thing at the 2 with Montrezl at the 5, small ball lineup, and it'll be instant offense off the bat. So I feel like it's a great fit. The second best fit in the West.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Besides Paul George having a bounce back year, because I've been saying for years, I think that dude is overrated as fuck. Because bro, you look real quick just to go off topic. Those Pacer teams, they had a good roster. Like they had a lot of solid players, like David West, who was not in his prime, but he was still pretty good. Roy Hibbert had those 1 or 2 years or maybe that one playoff series against Tyson Chandler where he went the fuck off. Jeff Teague, George Hill, Lance Steve, like they had a good team, and like obviously Paul George was the best player on those teams. But anyway,
Danny Granger was at one point.
At one point, but when they were in like the playoffs that year versus the Knicks and shit, Granger was kind of like.
Oh yeah, that was PG's team. PG went on a tip.
Right. So the Clippers, man, like you said, Kawhi, top 3 player in the league, and fit wise, fits great. They allow their guys to be their guys. They allow Will to go ice. They allow Kawhi to shoot mid range. They allow their players to be to play to their strengths. And now you got Ty Lue. I think that's a good fit. I feel like he's a player's coach, and he lets the guys do what they do best. So I like that. And I also, one thing I said today, like, I was like really surprised by how many people were like, no, the Clippers are not a good fit. Like, this sucks and everything, because the reason, like, the Clippers talked a bunch of shit in the playoffs, even before to the Blazers when Dame missed those 2 free throws and everything. But the reason that everybody made fun of the Clippers so badly for blowing that lead wasn't because they were talking shit. It was because they were projected to win and go on and beat the Lakers and win the championship. Like, a lot of people picked them, including myself, to win it all last year. So when they lose 3 in a row against the Nuggets, that's why it was like, holy shit, the Clippers lost. And like, I get it. I get it. It's funny because this team was supposed to win it all and beat LeBron, and they couldn't get past Jamal Murray. Like, I get it. But at the same time, if you add Melo to that team, he's not hitting the side of the backboard on an open three like Paul George was. So I think he puts them over the hump. You know, I had to throw in another shot at your boy PG there. But I think they're one of the top 2 teams in the West. I think they're one of the top 2 teams in the NBA heading into the season, heading into free agency. Let me put it like that. And I just would absolutely love if Melo is on that team. The only thing I will say about that is that I'm kind of nervous as to if Melo would get enough shots, because they have, I think I looked it up today, they have like 4 guys taking, I think, 12 shots a game or something like that, and Kawhi, PG, Montrez, and Will. So I wonder if there's enough touches to go around. But other than that, I think it's a great fit. He's in LA, you know, he loves the big cities and shit like that. So I'm all for the Clippers.
Yeah, I like the Clippers fit. I feel like they're about to get a point guard. And they're about to trade Lou Will. So that's gonna create more touches for, and I like Lou Will, but that's gonna create more touches for Melo if he ends up going over there.
Fair.
And I like that team.
Fair. All right, we've reached the last one here. We've been on the shift for 27 minutes. This does not feel like it at all. The last team here, the Portland Trailblazers. Take it away. What do you think?
This is the best fit, and I wasn't saying this yesterday because yesterday we didn't have Rocco, but now I can say it proudly. This is the best fit when it comes to the West. Wow, you know how I stand by Brooklyn being the best fit in general. In the West, this is the best fit. There are 2 signings away from being the championship team that everybody needs.
Wow,
Everybody
championship team.
fans need. Huh?
Championship team?
Yeah, I feel so because they bring in the defensive wing in Rocco. If you bring in Jamari Grant or Jeremy Grant, he could play the 4, the 3. And if you bring in a defensive big, it is raps for the league. Because Hassan Whiteside had his moments where he was a NBA player, and then had moments where he was in the big 3 looking like Glenn Davis. So I understand where the I don't knows come in, but Portland, I'm telling you, with Damian Lillard in his prime right now, CJ, Melo, bring in Rocco, Jeremy Grant, Nurkic playing out of his mind. Man, listen,
that's tough.
This is a team, bro.
That's tough. I couldn't agree with you more. I think the Blazers are the best fit overall. You know, you go back to just them giving him an opportunity and like embracing him the way that they fucking did. We can go on and talk about how great Portland was and the Blazers were to our guy in a time where he needed it literally more than ever. Like, this dude was ready to retire, and they brought him in. And not only did they bring him in, it was like, yo, sit in the corner and wait to get threes. They like, yo, here's the ball at the elbow, go do your thing. Yo, here's Melo chance. Yo, here's, you know, your jersey, and like all this shit. Yeah, Robert Covington. We did not know this last night when we filmed the first one, but Robert Covington is now a Portland Trailblazer after they traded Ariza and 2 first-rounders. Good move, in my opinion. Covington is better than Ariza, and as a Knicks fan, I don't give a fuck about those first-rounders, because as soon as Melo's out of Portland, I'm out of Portland. I know you said they're your second favorite team. Like, I could give two fucks what happens to that organization. I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for what they did for Melo, but I think they embraced him. They let him be him. Yeah, one or two more moves, and like, I don't know about championship, but I think they're a contender for sure. Dame can drop fucking 60 on any goddamn night. CJ can drop 40, 50 if he gets the touches. Melo can still drop 30. Then you have Nurkic, who's solid, and like a real full year back because he played in the bubble and he killed it in the beginning. And you could tell like he kind of got a little tired and there was like a lot of shit going on with his grandma dying. And, you know, he wasn't the same player at the end. So fair enough there. But you bring back like Gary Trent Jr. really balled the fuck out in the bubble. He is like a real piece to the puzzle there. And yeah, I can seriously see that team being a top 4 team. And in the West, when it's getting tougher and tougher, the Suns just traded for Chris Paul, so they're a playoff team now. And even with all that being said, I still think that Damian Lillard, being one of the best players in the NBA, can carry them. And I want to see Melo back in Portland.
Yeah, like, and I say they're a championship team for this. I looked at it the year prior to Melo coming over here. They went to the Western Conference Finals. Now you add Carmelo Anthony, a score y'all needed because y'all best power forward because Collins was hurt was fucking Anthony Tolliver.
Yeah.
So you had Carmelo Anthony. It's a big improvement. Now you adding defensive wings in which you had the year prior. So now you bringing in Melo with those defensive wings. They had Mo Harkless and Aminu, if I'm not mistaken, that year. Yep. Now you're gonna replace them with Rocco and let's say potentially Jeremy Grant, which is who I want. Some people want Paul Millsap. I don't fucking understand it. But Jeremy Grant is somebody I would want instantly because I saw his flashes in Oklahoma City.
Yep.
And they, if we're being honest, they took it to the Lakers. They won game 1. Game 2 was a complete blowout, but game 3 was close. And that was, I think, game 3 was the game where Melo got rampage in the third quarter versus LeBron. And if you have that with Damian Lillard being hot and having some backup off the bench to kind of ease the limits, not ease the limitations, kind of like take the burden out of Damian Lillard and all of that on the offensive side. And we have somebody to stop AD and LeBron. I think it's a championship team.
It's tough, man. It's tough, and there's just too many reasons like to want him back in Portland, and I really hope it happens. There's like some talk, like you mentioned it, Paul Millsap is a name being thrown out there, and people are like, oh shit, does that mean Melo's out? Like, no, like they still need another power forward, even when they bring back Melo. Hopefully, let's speak that into existence. So they still need guys in the front court. Zach Collins can't stay healthy. That dude seems to get hurt every other fucking game, and he's nice. He has some of the worst hands in terms of catching the fucking ball I've ever seen in my life. Ever. But I think they're right there, man. I like you said, one or two moves and they're right there, and that's all you can ask for at this point in Melo's career.
Right. You should go to Brooklyn though, but you're right.
All right. So real quick before we get to the end, prediction: you think he's going to Brooklyn?
Yes.
Okay. 1 year deal, 2 year deal. Let's get real.
I feel like he got 3 years left. For the simple fact he said he was going to retire at 37, but now it looks like he's not. So I see 39, 40. It's when he calls it quits.
Okay.
So I see it on a 1 year deal. I'm pushing 2, but 1 year deal. See how that system is. If he likes the system, he's coming back. That's why I feel like Portland is the second best option because he loves Portland. And the system that they provided for him and how he fits that system, it's a perfect match.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I see Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the team.
All right. So Brooklyn 1 year deal is your prediction. My prediction is going to be a 2 year deal with Portland. I think that now they kind of know what to expect out of each other. Hopefully they know what to expect out of each other. And I feel like, they know that Melo's not going to fall off a cliff this next year or two because he's somebody who he could really play like a long time. I don't think he's going to because he doesn't want to be that Vince Carter that everyone, goes crazy over when I think he's one of the most overrated players in history. Like he had a great dunk contest. You too?
Yeah, I agree. He's the most overrated.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're both on the same page with VC. I just think, him going to Portland, it makes so much sense for both sides, for the Blazers, because they get Melo and everything that he offers. And then also for Melo because of what they offer him. So I think it's a 2-year deal with Portland. And then I think hopefully the Knicks are semi-decent in 2 years, and then he could finish his career with the Knicks after winning a championship in Portland, and then maybe go on like a deep playoff run. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, yeah, and Melo, even in his last game in LA, against LA rather, he had 28 points, if I'm not mistaken, or 24, one of those two. He was
27.
balling out. It was 27.
I'm gonna look it up, but it was 27 or 28. It was definitely more than 24.
So yeah, but it was an amazing, and you can see that Carmelo Anthony could be a solid third option. And even when he was in Portland, he was a third option. But once Nurkic came in, a lot of people was like, "Oh, this is the big three," and I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck is what is Melo like fourth
Yeah,
option?"
yeah,
You can see he's a solid third option. It was amazing watching him play, amazing watching him come back.
yep.
Um, so it's amazing, and yeah, Vince Carter is deeply overrated. I don't know if you heard me. He had
Nah, not
one
really. It got cut off a
dunk,
little, but thank you.
yeah, one dunking fucking machine. Like, okay, one dunk contest. Okay,
It like
congrats.
it's cool. Those dunks were awesome, but like, bro, to be like, oh, legend Vince Carter, like, relax.
Yeah,
Um,
he's
by the way,
he's
Melo's last game, 27 points, 9 of 16 shooting, 3 of 4 from three, 6 of 7 from the line, 7 rebounds uh, for Melo that game. So not bad. All right, man. Well, we made it. We made it through this episode mainly lag free. A couple little things at the end, but I feel like we were good. So at the end of each podcast, we allow our guests to control a narrative. It could be it doesn't have to be basketball related. It doesn't have to be Melo related. It doesn't have to be sports related. What narrative do you want to control right here on episode 44?
you know what narrative. The Paul George narrative, baby. He's gonna have a breakout year this year, or the year coming up rather. He's gonna be. He was top 3 in MVP, top 3 in Defensive Player of the Year last year. Literally the year before he got traded to the Clippers. So all that shit talk about way off P, playoff piss, all that shit is gonna be out the window here, and you're gonna see why. Paul George is still a star in this league. He is not overrated. He's gonna watch. I'm just watch. That's all I'm gonna say.
Just watch. I guess we'll have to just watch them because I was rooting for the Clippers. I didn't want LeBron to win again. Like I did not want that. I was dying for the Clippers to win, and I don't like Paul George, but I was pulling him, and I was pulling for him, and he couldn't fucking hit the rim. So we'll see, man. That's a bold prediction, especially with how that last series played out. That's a bold prediction to say that, but respect, respect. All right, man. Well, appreciate you hopping on for a second night. Means a lot, man. We got through this shit, and this has kind of been in the works for a little bit. Do you want to plug your Twitter, maybe your upcoming podcast, or anything like that, or do you just want to give us a Melo?
Yeah, my Twitter handle is the real Prophet Zero. We don't accept Melo slander over here. So if you try to pull on some bullshit, just know I'm coming in with the facts and everything else.
Yep.
So yeah, we ain't biased either. We not biased over here. So we just love NBA, love content. I'm gonna start my podcast very soon, so I'll let you know. And I'll keep you posted. And it's just thank you for having me for a second straight night. Much love, bro.
Of course. Appreciate the time, homie.
All right, bro. Peace, yo.
Yes.